Hello, I'm Paul Johnson in the Center for Research Methods and Data Analysis at the University of Kansas, and this is a presentation about installing R and various components in Windows. There will be a follow-up presentation about editors, but today it's about R and ActivePerl. When you go to the R website, which is rproject.org, you should see a welcome screen. And at the very top there's a link that says download R, and that leads you to a place where you choose a mirror that's close to you. We choose the one in Kansas, rweb.quant.ku.edu, and if you're watching this because you're a Windows user, you choose Windows, and then you choose the first link, which is install R for the first time. That leads to a choice of R 3.0.1 for Windows, which is the newest and greatest, and you should choose to save that in the folder where you keep your R-related stuff. I downloaded that one before, so when the file is finished downloading, you right-click and you say Run as Administrator. You accept the prompt for permission, and you say Next, Next. I'm leaving the setting for the directory the way they propose. I think that this creates a little bit of a maintenance problem over the long run when you want to install new versions of R, but by the time that comes up, you will be familiar enough with R and Windows System Administration to manage it with no trouble. So we want to take both the 32 and 64-bit files. Everything else we'll leave as it was. We accept the Start menu folder, we create a desktop icon, and the install runs. When the install is finished, we are going to need to test R to make sure that it installed properly. So the first thing to do is to look on your desktop for the big blue R. Usually we won't run R this way, but today we have to test it out to make sure it works properly. And so let's just type a command. For example, generate some random normal data. R norm 100 observations, please. The mean is, and the histogram for that distribution is, okay. So that convinces us that R is working just fine. Usually we wouldn't be typing directly into the console. Instead, we would want to start a script file and do the same work in there. So let's type R norm. Let's take 99 observations so that you'll know that this is a different distribution than before. We'll get the mean of that, and we'll ask for the histogram. We don't have to copy and paste from the editor into the session because a shortcut key has been established. Control-R will run a line in the R session and then step to the next. So when I hit Control-R right now, you should have seen the command go into the session. And I'm going to hit a Control-R again and a Control-R again, getting a new histogram. So except for a few wrinkles managing windows and arranging them to suit your particular purpose, everything is working great. The major problem we have with R is that the editor that they supply is really limited. Note that there's no parentheses matching, no highlighting, no automatic indentation. So if I were to start doing a conditional statement, note that there's no indentation. And there's nothing to remind me to close off my parentheses or squiggly brackets. So the built-in R editor is workable. You can save scripts with it and you can run them again, but it's very bare bones and very limited. So when we do the second screencast, we'll talk about R editors that might help with that. Before I go any further, however, I want to show you some other things about R packages, and one of the critical problems Windows users face is importing Excel spreadsheets. There's a package for R that works very well. However, it requires a software framework known as Perl. Perl is a program that's an interpreter. It exists on many different platforms, and the version that we're using for Windows is called ActivePerl. And the website for that, activestate.com. So you should go to that website, you click the Download Now button, and on Windows 64-bit, of course, you want the newest version, Windows Installer. If you're on Windows 32-bit, choose x86. After that download's done, you'll have a file, and you can right-click and then choose Install. I did this before, so when I choose Run, it will notice that I've done the work already, and it will ask if something wrong. Do we need to fix it? Of course, I don't want to bother with that, but you should just choose the defaults, including the point where it invites you to add Perl to your system path. That makes Perl available to other programs. It does have a few unusual features. You'll notice that Perl installs itself on the root of the C drive. That's mainly because we want to avoid spaces in directories and file names. This choice by the Windows Corporation or Microsoft Corporation to put a space in the program directory is a major hassle for a lot of programmers. So Perl is installed under a folder of its own called Perl 64, and that's added to the path. After you install ActivePerl, you'll have to log out of your system and log back in because it changes your environment. But then you have an important benefit that you can use an add-on package called gdata to import an Excel spreadsheet. The way to install packages, so you'll notice that I'm avoiding any pull-down menus because they might pull me down or might do things that I don't expect. So I'll just say install packages, and I'll just give it one argument, gdata. The first thing it notices is that I don't have administrative privileges, so it can't install with the R program files directory. So I say yes. It suggests that it will put the files in my user account under R Win Library 3.0. That sounds great. So I go and choose a mirror again. The install will complete. You'll notice it was extremely quick, and it put a copy of the packages in my Windows App Data hidden space, which I have unhidden at the moment, but the main thing is that we've got these packages installed, and so we can load them. Gdata. When Gdata loads, it notices that I have ActivePerl installed, and so the message says that the importation of XLS and XLSX files is enabled. And if you want to read how that works, do read.xls, and you come to the help file that Greg Warren's prepared for Gdata. In case you want to get some other packages while you're at it, you can run install packages, and if you get the car package, that's Professor Fox's companion for applied regression, and you say dependencies equals true, this will download about 150 regression related packages. So it's a good way to build up your package collection quickly. I wrote a test script after I created a little Excel spreadsheet. It's called Silly XLS Open, and it shows you one of the common problems that users will face. I started R from the big blue symbol, and so when I ask R, what is your working directory, it says the documents folder for my user account. But the program I want to work with is in my documents under R code. And so I have several different ways that I could change the working directory. I can use setwd and give it a full path, or I can give a relative path like this. And I think that's a little bit smarter. after I do set WD, I can, for example, look at list files to see what are spots in the current working directory. And here you see my Excel spreadsheet, test book, and the file silly XLS open. So gdata is already loaded. When I run the data step, read.xls, I can check to see that the data was imported correctly. You'll notice a few of the wrinkles that are pretty typical when we import data. The variable name for GPA has an extra period in it, and the character string for the names of the respondents has these extra backslashes in it. That's probably a translation between the Windows character set and whatever my R system is set to use. Those kinds of things are pretty easy to clean up with post hoc commands, like call names can allow me to rename the third element in the vector. And then I use the function gsub to replace the double backslash with nothing. And it takes 4 backslashes because the backslash character is a secret weapon and you have to escape it with another backslash in order to make it be seen as a literal thing. So after I do that, now I have the data that I want, and I can do plots with it, for example. So the install of Windows is easy, with the exception of needing to get ActivePerl. There's nothing that's going to create a major impediment for people who want to do simple R work and possibly import Excel spreadsheets. The warning about Excel spreadsheets, of course, is that the sheets have to have rectangular data structures in them with a certain number of rows and columns. And if you have any special functions in your Excel spreadsheet, it's very unlikely it will be imported clearly. So you should create a spreadsheet that just has ordinary numbers in it, not formulas. But after that, it's all good. And remember to close down R gracefully with the Q function and say, you always say no, because I don't want it to fill up my disk. Would I like to save that file? Yes, I don't mind. No, I don't want to save with that other thing that I was fiddling with before. So that's the typical install of R. There's no major drama involved in it anymore. It works quite easily. The major weakness we face is that it's difficult to edit files in R, and it's difficult for users to control where R is reading and writing without too much of a hassle. So in the next presentation about editors, I'll discuss a little bit about some of the advantages of Emacs, RStudio, and Notepad++. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Paul Johnson, and I'm at the University of Kansas.